Welcome everyone. It is episode 15 of this Treasure Inside Edition. It is Tuesday, April 1st, April Fool's Day, and I'm joined by the management. How you doing, the management, today?
The number one fool right here. I am doing good.
That's good. No April Fools. We've got real content today. It's not like we've just put this podcast up with no content. We have actual good content. A number of things we've been trying to talk about for weeks, but we've had to cut short to try and keep it to that half hour. But what have you been up to this week?
This week, I was trying to catch up on the Golden Greed docuseries as it was released, and I've watched it twice already. And then, even though I said that I wouldn't, I have gotten sucked into Beyond the Map's Edge. So now I'm starting to work on that too.
You've been bitten. You got the virus. The treasure hunting virus. It appears to me that you are getting more involved in treasure hunting than I am even. You're getting further and further sucked in.
Oh yeah, I am face first into this pie.
So, what is it about it? What's drawing you in so much? So, like, from my understanding, you were, a year ago, had not even heard of treasure hunting, and all of a sudden you're getting sucked in?
I wouldn't even say it was a year ago, but I don't know, maybe. I don't know. But I had only ever heard of the Forrest Fenn treasure hunt in, like, legendary treasure hunts, like Sunken Treasure or stuff lost during the gold rush or whatever. I didn't know that there were people intentionally going out there and hiding treasure, and I think it just really satisfies my ADHD brain of constant little dopamine hits. You know, like the dad says in National Treasure, there's always another clue, Benjamin. That's the problem. There's always another clue. And I'm just eating those clues up like little bits of crack.
Well, that's interesting because, not to plug Treasure Hunt Token, which I run, but the idea of Treasure Hunt Token is you get a win every day and get a solve every day. And so I was thinking, when you said there's a little dopamine hit, do you feel like you're getting little wins, like you're actually solving it? Or is it more around you're getting new ideas that may not even be a solve for the treasure hunts?
Probably a little bit of both. But I'm not getting anywhere. I'm just scrolling around the internet mostly.
Well, what interests you about that? Like, I feel like after a while, people would get frustrated if they're not getting the ultimate solve, but something is drawing you towards it.
Well, if you watch my YouTube videos and stuff, I've always been interested in art history and antiquities and the origin story of why these things were chosen as treasure and what makes these things interesting inherently. So I probably should have majored in art history in college. I was like really close to being able to double major, but I was ready to get out of there. But it was like, it's always just been kind of a side hobby of mine. And then to be able to tie it into like a real life Angels and Demons Da Vinci Code style treasure hunt where you're using puzzles and ciphers and logic and history and art and artifacts. I've always been into that media realm of Indiana Jones, National Treasure, The Goonies. Loved The Goonies. There was one summer vacation when I was a kid where we got reined in at the beach, and I swear I watched The Goonies 50 times. I wanted to watch nothing else. So it's just kind of a natural thing for me to be into once I discovered that it existed.
Yeah, that's the thing I was surprised at too. So the movies existed, which is fiction. I didn't realize till a few years ago that the people would actually put their own money up, millions of dollars of money, like Forrest Fenn and like we talked about, Jon Collins-Black would put their own money up where actual treasure exists for people to go find, that they put their own money up that other people could get and get rich from. And that's what's surprising to me, that in the last few years when I discovered this, that I didn't know that actually existed. Was it similar for you too? You got the puzzles to work on, but there's actually treasure, real treasure that could make you rich out there in the United States in particular.
Yeah, so yes, the treasure is real. I think the treasure bounties are getting larger and larger. With There's Treasure Inside, I have to kind of temper my expectations a little bit because I know about the forest bin hunting. It was like $1 million, right? But There's Treasure Inside. Each one of these boxes is only worth a couple $100,000. That's not Oprah money. That's not life-changing money, right? So I kind of have to, check myself on the weekdays. I'm currently job hunting. I do pet sitting now, but I had been taking a break from the corporate world, so I'm trying to get back into the corporate world, and maybe I'll get myself a van and be a full-time boots-on-the-ground treasure hunter.
It's great if you have the opportunity to do that, because not everyone has the opportunity to do that. Life's worth living and having different phases of your life, and I think having a treasure hunter phase at the very least of your life and other people's lives is something fun, if you have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I'm single, I've got no kids, I've not got a whole lot tying me down to the earth, so why not? I've always been an adventurer.
Well, I'm the complete opposite. I'm an adventurer, married with kids, cannot even go out for a weekend to go boots on the ground. So I guess I'm going to have to be the person looking up the clues, doing the armchair treasure hunts, and feeding to you, and you can go out and look for both of us for the clues.
Yeah, and then, maybe you'll get a slice of the pie and then, pay for like a year of college for one child.
That's right. Well, what do you want to do first? You want to do news of the week? You want to give our treasure hunt token update?
Let's go ahead and talk about treasure hunt token.
Okay, good. Let's talk about treasure hunt token this week, because I got a few emails of people gently reminding me when they went to solve the treasure hunt token of the week. If you remember from last week, I said we were going to try something new where we did a lottery draw where everyone goes and solves the treasure hunt and the website will pick someone at random to get the prize money. Everyone seemed really excited because they emailed me and said, "You didn't do it." So apparently I'm an idiot. I clicked the wrong button. I clicked first come first serve, where one person won the treasure hunt last week, and that person was Preheated Dragon. Preheated Dragon got in ahead of Jim this week, so we're starting to spread the money around a little bit and solve the treasure hunt. So for those who wanted to know what it was and what the solve was, the treasure map, episode 14, treasure hunt, you can see it through the show notes, was a pink elephant. Okay? That was pretty distinct, a pink elephant. So, believe it or not, the website was pinkelephant.com. Can you believe it? And what was the pink elephant doing? He was giving a high five to a kid. You can check it right now on your phone if you want to. If you're listening to this podcast, you've been hearing about the treasure hunts. You don't know how they work. There was a treasure hunt that had a pink elephant showing. And if you go to pinkelephant.com, scroll down on the US website, and there's a picture of someone high-fiving. And the first two words of that says case study. And on the treasure map, it had two words, 4 letters, 5 letters, and the solution was case study. Not too difficult, right?
No, I think that one's pretty straightforward, even though I'm not looking at it. Let me ask you this. The free ones that you post once a week for the listeners to play, those are kind of like a taste, right? So yes. Once you get your subscription, those are more or less harder, right?
Yeah, we have some that are the same. You go to the website, you find the solution. Others are more complex, where you take the first clue from the treasure map. It takes you to, say, a social media profile or a website, which will have a video or something else, which will take you somewhere else and take you down a kind of pathway of fun puzzles to get to the very end. So some of the ones that are already up there have not been solved, that are a little harder. But like you mentioned, you can buy, I think it's like $20 of treasure hunt token, and on our website, treasurehunttoken.com, shows a video of how to buy it, and it gets you access to some of these other things. One of the things I was thinking of doing, by the way, was what you can do is give out NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which will just be like a picture of the hunt, for example, for people who win these treasure hunts. What I might do is start giving out NFTs for everyone who wins one of these weekly ones and have a winner's circle hunt. So you can access this particular hunt if you've won a previous weekly hunt. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I like it.
Okay, so we're going to have a winner's circle. I think at the very beginning I gave away NFTs. We're going to do that from now on. We're going to give away an NFT and the prize money. And if you will make it a lucky draw, so go in and solve it. If you win, you'll get the NFT. You'll be able to access later a winner's circle hunt where only the winners can access it. Sounds fun to me.
It does. And let me ask you this question. So these simple ones that they're solving, these free ones that we do, those you win actual US dollars, correct?
Well, I should say it's things like BUSD, USDT. It's cryptocurrency that's 1-for-1 for a US dollar. So all you have to do is send it to someone like crypto.com with an account there. They'll convert it for you to actual US dollars.
Or you can just turn around and buy your treasure token with those winnings, right?
Yeah, that's right. So that's what I would recommend, because you've already got the cryptocurrency. You can easily turn it around, buy some treasure hunt tokens. You get access to a bunch of hunts there that have even more money to win. So if you're into treasure hunts, you want to actually get a win, because that's what I was hinting at it before. I had my subtle plug. With a lot of these hunts, it's 5 to 7 to 10 years to solve it, where you actually get a win where you know you've won it. This, you can get the satisfaction immediately where you've actually solved one of the hunts and you know you've solved it and you've got the solution.
I think that that's one thing that we had failed to explain up until this point, is that you get real money for winning these, but just go ahead and buy yourself the treasure hunt token so that you can play more.
Yeah, and by the way, like you mentioned the other week, and let's not go too long with the treasure hunt token, but you mentioned the other week that you paid the money for the treasure hunt tokens. You own the treasure hunt tokens. So you could sell them at any point as well, or it could increase in value or decrease in value as well. But it's not like you just give the money away. You actually own those treasure hunt tokens that are worth something.
And then you don't have to use the tokens to play the hunts. You just get to play the hunts because you own the token.
Yeah, that's right. So it will scan your wallet to see how many do you have. Okay, you have enough. You've gained access to the hunt. So this is why it's good to have a normal person questioning me to explain it properly. So I'm an engineer who can't communicate. So now you've got someone like you asking me questions to make it make sense for people. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem. That is what I do for work. You're an engineer, but I'm the elevator person that goes between the engineers and the business side.
Okay, well, are we ready for the news of the week?
Let's do it.
Okay, so for this week, the biz news of the week, which we've been teasing for a number of weeks now, is that the Gold and Greed documentary finally dropped on Netflix. Now, you mentioned you've watched the whole thing twice, right?
I haven't watched the third episode twice, but I've watched the first and second episodes twice.
Okay, well, I've only watched the first episode at this stage. So what I thought we could do is recap one episode each week for those who are kind of spacing it out. Now, for those who've binged it in one go, they'll just have to wait a few weeks for us to catch up. Because since I haven't watched the episode 2 and 3, is it okay if we recap episode 1?
Absolutely. Okay. Let's do it.
Okay, so first of all, what did you think? Thinking back to episode 1, what did you think of the documentary? Did it capture treasure hunting in general? What were your thoughts on it?
I think it was a good general overview of what the Forrest Fenn hunt was, and a few of the characters, I will say. I think we can refer to Forrest Fenn as a character, and then also these hunters are quite characters as well.
One thing I should mention straight off that made me very happy when I went to click on it. So I didn't go do it at midnight. Some people, when it dropped at midnight, were straight onto it. The very next night I went to click on it. On the banner there on Netflix, it said top 10. It was a top 10 show for that day on Netflix. So it seems to have gathered a lot of viewership, a lot of interest. I don't think anyone would have thought it was necessarily going to be a top 10 show on Netflix. I mean, they release a lot of shows. There's a lot of documentaries, a lot of shows, a lot of movies on Netflix. So to be in the top 10 the day it was released, I thought was a very good indicator that people were interested in this.
Yeah, and then there's other treasure hunting shows that have been on Netflix, but it's all the legendary treasure, right? This isn't, I don't even know, I feel like it's two different categories. I keep calling it treasure hunting as a hobby, but that's a whole mouthful. So there's like the Curse of Oak Island
Yep.
and then Pirates Gold somewhere, and they actually, they find a gold coin at the end of it, but then there's never a season 2, and it's kind of annoying. So I expect the way that this show is leading that there might be a season 2 or a spin-off show.
That's interesting, mate. My brother and sister have watched Curse of Oak Island and were trying to get me into it, but they never find anything. But I got the impression that was what made it so funny, was that they kept looking for this thing and never found anything. But for obviously Forrest Fenn, there was a real treasure in someone. Oh, I don't want to spoil it, but someone might have found it at the very end. But you're right, though. So for the Curse of Oak Island to be a show that's so popular for people and they never find anything, this other show they find a coin at the end, it would make sense that Forrest Fenn, if it was as interesting as Curse of Oak Island, but actually is a real treasure, and they know there's a real treasure, it makes sense that it's popular.
Right. So I think just the idea of treasure in general is just in the American spirit.
Darn tootin', that's right. And I think the good news is, when I first watched it, I realized Netflix gave it the full Netflix treatment. Like, it was professionally done. It was a real Netflix documentary. Especially, you know what they're doing is they're trying to develop the characters, like you said, of the documentary. And as a recap, for those who watched the episode 1, like you said, character number 1 is Forrest Fenn himself. And I've actually never seen a whole lot of him, even though people have talked about him a lot. So it was good to see how he was as a normal person. I think he was a lot more normal than I realized. And then you've really got the 3 protagonists, right? You got Cynthia, the lady who was searching by herself. I met her at the treasure hunting conference. You've got the self-proclaimed rednecks, the underdogs of the story.
The Hearsts.
Okay, good. The Hearst family. And then you've got Justin. So Justin's kind of the intellectual type. And who did you gravitate towards the most when you were watching this?
Can't forget about Lou, the pilot.
I don't know Lou. Is he come
No,
later?
he's episode 1.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a pilot, and
he
hunting treasure with his whole family.
Yeah, he showed up briefly at the end of the episode.
I asked him to be my friend today.
What did he say? He didn't respond.
I haven't got a response yet. I'm waiting impatiently.
That's your response. He said no.
It was just a couple hours ago. Don't crush my dreams.
Okay, good. Okay, but who did you like the most? Who did you gravitate towards the most?
So I did YouTube video recaps of each episode, but spoiler alert, Justin's character really spoke to me. He's a dog guy. He tried to involve his dog in the treasure hunt, which I think is fantastic. He is a techie guy and is a software engineer and tried to use, his nerd experience to solve the hunt or to at least give him some indicators. And he just seems like a really genuine, nice guy.
I have to agree. I mean, so I like Cynthia. Cynthia seems very real. She's like, I'm just doing my own thing. I don't care what you think. But I kind of personally gravitate a little bit towards Justin as well. Like, for the same reason you said, nerdy kind of guy coming from it from a very intellectual perspective, but also just seemed like a very nice guy. And we're going to talk about him a lot more going forward.
Spoiler alert, if you're like Chaz and you haven't got all the way to the end of the docuseries yet, Justin actually announces in the 3rd episode that he is releasing his own treasure hunt. And it is out and live, and it is called Beyond the Map's Edge. I think we talked about it maybe 2 weeks ago, and I said that I wasn't going to do it because it was out west. But then I watched this documentary and got all excited and fell in love with Justin's character. And now I'm an idiot. And now I'm doing 2 treasure hunts at once.
You've been drawn in.
Sucked
you got the bug. All right, so what's going on? I have not looked at it myself, but what's going on? What's available to you? There's one poem. Is there anything else available to you?
So there's a poem that's available for free to everybody online. We'll put the link to the Beyond the Map's Edge website in the show notes. The poem's absolutely free. It's right there, clear as day. But there's a accompanying book that goes along with it. And Justin's approach is you have to know the treasure hunt creator in order to find the treasure. So the book, from my understanding, is all about him, his family, his pets, and his experience treasure hunting. And within those pages are more clues in addition to the poem.
Okay, I'm going to ask you about this because this is very interesting because I thought about this from a fan to a Jon Collins-Black This Treasure Inside edition of how much do you need to know the hunter themselves. So it seemed like Forrest Fenn, he wrote the poem of the treasure hunt in his own autobiography. Like it was a lot about himself and what he was like, right? I got the impression that Jon Collins-Black was like, I made this hunt, leave me alone. I'm not interacting with you too much anymore, even though he's been very generous with interviews, etc. But it didn't seem like he needed people or wanted people to be involved with him or knowing anything about him.
It's an interesting dichotomy because what you find out in the documentary is that Forrest Fenn was like meeting with people and inviting people to his house. He's talking to people on the phone. He's writing letters and emails back and forth with different treasure hunters. I really think that he used this hunt to give himself, something to do day to day. It became his, quote unquote job as he was in retirement, and it sounds pretty fun. He'd go to like picnics and stuff, and he'd really get to know the hunters, whereas Jon Collins-Black is like, I don't check my emails. Please, nobody leak the phone number that I have. He's basically erased himself off the internet. So I think everything we need to know about Jon Collins-Black in order to solve the puzzle is within the book.
But I find it a little strange and I'm a little concerned because, as you know, more than I do, I think, or more than a lot of other people, the treasure hunter community attracts some people that are a little, let's say, eccentric. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I would even consider myself eccentric.
Okay, let's go further than that. People that are very strange and have harassed your YouTube channel, right, with strange comments.
Oh, yeah. I found out who Shiloh was. So on one of my first YouTube videos, the Finns came after me, and not the Finn family, the Finn hunters that are cuckoo, and they accused me of being Shiloh and being a fake persona. I am not a fake persona. I am not a man.
Right, we did a video already. Video podcast.
They're so far into conspiracy, though, that they probably think it's all fake.
Well, this is what I'm saying, though, is if I was to make a treasure hunt, my one reservation would be the invasion of my personal privacy. So to kind of invite that in, I find a little concerning, but I hope everything's okay. And everyone should know this is all just fun, and we don't need to make it anything more than that. So, back to Beyond the Map's Edge, Mr. Justin Posey. You've started to get into his treasure hunt, right? What have you found so far?
Okay, so I would have to spoil the episode 3 surprise. And I don't want to do that until episode 3.
Okay, we could leave it a little bit. So you can't talk about any of the hunt so far.
Let's do this. I will do a recap like we did of Seek Texas, where I give the high level information about Beyond the Map's Edge.
Okay, and then we'll go into more detail next week. Okay, go.
Okay, so it is in the American West. If you look at his website, again, it's in the show notes. If you look at his website, it shows the entire search area. Alaska is included. He says that the key to his treasure is the poem, but the book has extra clues in it to help you solve the puzzle. The hard copy is $50, but he's not happy about that, and he's trying to get a different printer to do it for cheaper. But in the meantime, the ebook is only $20.
Oh, $50 is okay. Like I said, I mean, $50 is a lot to a lot of people, but for what you're getting for it, for potentially winning a treasure hunt or the entertainment, I think it's okay. But that's great. That's great that he's trying to make it cheaper for people. But, like we said last week, you would spend more on entertainment on one night out than the entertainment this gives you. So I hope he's not being too hard on himself.
Also, an interesting component is there is a crypto component. Now, there's not like Bitcoin in the treasure chest, but there is a crypto account that's been set up, and every time a book is sold, crypto gets added to that account, and the winner will get that crypto as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I like seeing people do that. And of course, crypto is the money of the future. and it's only going to increase with time.
Yeah, that's really cool. So people can kind of play along with it to see the amount of crypto that's building up in that account. I really like that.
So something that is interesting that I read in the deep, dark corners of the FAQ, there's a hard copy book and there's an ebook. And I quote, "Each format presents certain details in unique ways that observant readers might find valuable. While either version alone is sufficient for participating in the treasure hunt, serious searchers may find insights in comparing both formats."
That's a huge find. I would probably not have read the details that much to find that. So what do you think that means? That there's like variations between the ebook and the real book?
Yeah, I think there will be variations between the physical book and the ebook, and maybe with the ebook, we've discovered with There's Treasure Inside, the ebook is like seeing in 4D compared to the printed version if you're looking at the Appalachian Footpath map.
Right.
So maybe it's something like that. But, he's absolutely cut the shit and said that it's 100% a real physical treasure that is hidden that you can hold, because there are so many theories about the Forest Fent treasure was never real. And is the Treasure Inside treasure really real? And he's like, nope, it's real. I'm doing it.
That's really cool. It seems like he's been involved in treasure hunting his whole life. I read today that when he was 8 or 9 years old, he dressed up as Indiana Jones at school and had like the whole hat and the leather jacket, and he carried a whip to school and did this for a number of years. And his mother said to him, "You probably should just dress normal so people don't make fun of you." And he refused to. And he kept doing it. So like this guy's committed to the treasure hunting persona, which I think is so cool.
So, since we can't talk about Beyond the Map's Edge and where I'm going with those solves, let's talk about the clue that you found for the Past and Future box.
Yes, now I'm working on a particular solve for the Past and Future box, which I can't reveal yet, but I did want to go over something that's been known for a little bit. It's been known for a little bit in the treasure hunt community around a particular clue in their Past and Future box, and that is, first of all, the word search that dominates everything. There are 20 columns in the word search, right? There are also 20 paragraphs in the text of the chapter for the Past and Future box. Does that raise your eyebrows a little?
It definitely does. And I think something in episode 2 of Golden Greed might raise your eyebrows on that front as well.
Oh, now you're teasing me because I haven't seen it. Okay, so now
I know. Do your homework, partner.
Okay. All right. So what's the first thing you think of when you think of 20 columns, 20 paragraphs?
I'm getting my book right now. Okay, so there's 15 rows in 20 columns.
Okay, yes. 15 rows, 20 columns, yes.
Okay, and then 20 paragraphs in the chapter.
Yes.
Naturally, I want to align one of the columns with like a letter in each paragraph, right? Like use it as like a book cipher within itself, right?
Yes, you're very good. Look, you're really into the treasure hunting now to know all these clues. So that's one of the first things that came up was a book cipher. Now, would you be able to explain to everyone what a book cipher is?
I will do a terrible job of explaining what a book cipher is, but it is basically where you find a code that corresponds with like a page and then a paragraph number and then the word number and then the letter number, and you find a whole bunch of those numeric codes and then it spells out a message.
Right, okay. So maybe the message is 15 letters long, right? If there's
So maybe there's some sort of correlation between like column 5, row 3 in paragraph whatever.
Right. The other thing I was thinking of, and sorry, I can't remember. Did you say this last week that someone actually manually put the word search on like a cryptex, which is a cylinder where each column will rotate around? Did you mention this last week?
Yeah, it was a rolling pin, and the guy like printed it out and was trying to like twist and turn the letters to make like a sophisticated bike lock is what I called it.
Right, that's a really good way of explaining a bike lock. So I was thinking too that it could have something to do with that each paragraph in the book will give you an indication of how to turn each one of those columns of the bike lock to spell out a message.
I hear you, but then I go back to Jon Collins-Black saying there's no grand cipher, and I feel like we're treading in grand cipher waters.
Okay, I'm good with you. I like the simplicity of it too. Problem is we don't have a simple solve, but we'll hit on it soon. I'm working on something else.
That's what I struggle with the most is the simple solve, right? Because my brain naturally wants to dig into the history and go full-blown Da Vinci Code on it. Whereas the Springer Spaniel on the Appalachian footpath map, well, that's probably Springer Mountain if we're going to take it at face value.
Well, for anyone who's listening and hasn't heard about that 20 paragraphs, 20 columns part of the word search, have a look into it. If you have any theories, by the way, email us at TheresTreasureInsideEdition@gmail.com. Then, by the way, if you have any questions, email that website as well. We'll go through your questions on the show. But I'd love to hear if any of you have any theories about that. I'll be looking into it myself this week to see if I can come up with something on the 20 paragraphs, 20 columns as well. By the way, we didn't think of a code this week for the treasure hunt token hunt. Can you think of a code this week? I can think of my own, but I want someone else to come up with the code this week.
I kind of want it to be like a passphrase, like a manifestation passphrase for me to find the beyond the map treasure because I think it's the biggest one. Justin Posey's dog. What was his dog's name?
Yeah, I thought it was Tucker.
Tucker? Okay, let's go with that.
What, it's just the word Tucker?
Yeah, we're going to go with Tucker because it's Justin Posey's dog's name.
At least the name I thought it was as we're recording. That's what it was.
Right.
So
if you're wrong, we'll do it again.
Okay, well, it's Tucker. You have to excuse my accent. Let me do my American accent one sec. Okay. Tucker.
Tucker.
Is the code for this week. Okay?
Not Tucker.
Not Tucker. It's Tucker.
Yes.
Okay, good. We're over time. We've gone too long this week. So everyone's bored. They're trying to get on with their day. So let's cut it off there. I've got more Past Our Future Box to go through next week. We've got another episode of Golden Greed to go through next week. Episode 2. So listen along with us. But thank you for listening. There's Treasure Inside Edition. It's a community podcast for There's Treasure Inside by Jon Collins-Black. For those of you who don't know what we've been talking about for the last half hour. But you can always find us at TreasureInsideEdition.com. Email us at TheresTreasureInsideEdition@gmail.com. And please, people have been doing this. Thank you. But if you have your phone with you, don't forget to subscribe or like, or review, or do all three, or whatever they do on their platform that you're listening to. That would really help out the show to grow even further, bringing more people into this hunt so we can talk to everyone about it. What's going on for you this week? Are you going more into the depths of madness? And if so, which hunt is it for?
I'm really going to be working on my Appalachian footpath solve. So when I go boots on the ground in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow. We're going to talk about that more too.
Yeah. So 2 weeks, I'm going to be going boots on the ground in Georgia near Springer Mountain. So I'm getting ready for that.
Okay, that sounds interesting and fun. I'm jealous. Sounds like it's going to be a great time, but thank you everyone for listening this week. We will be back next week. We got a bunch of special guests coming up, which I'm really excited about, but I hope you have a good week, management. Hope you all have a good week out there too.
Cheers. Happy hunting.